Welcome to Reality Tea Times 2, the podcast where we discuss all the trash reality TV we love to hate. I'm Tanika, and today we are going to be discussing The Ultimatum. So, not sure how many episodes we're going to be doing in this episode. We'll kind of, again, go through as we go. But, as always, this is a Netflix show, so we're not going to talk about anything. But again, if you want any information in terms of Patreon, you can go down to the show notes where you can find the link, and yeah, we can go from there. But that's it. That's all we're going to talk about. Let's just jump right into the reason that we are here, and that is to do the ultimatum. So, episode 3. So we left off with finding out that Marie says she picks AJ. Marita says she picks AJ. So who does AJ pick? So AJ picks Marie. She's like, I can see myself marrying you one day, and you will get 100% of me. The fuck? Again, you're saying this in front of your girlfriend who you know wants to marry you. And again, it's just like, what does, okay, this experience aside, you've only known each other for a week. And I know things can be very different in a lesbian relationship. However, it's been a week. It's, I guess as a straight person, if someone said that to me, I would be running in the opposite direction. Like, no. Anyways. So after that kind of happened, we're starting to see the side of Marita that is not going to be the only time we see this. But Marita's like, I'm upset and I feel stupid because like I wasted my time on you. Again, kind of do what I respect Bridget because she realized that this isn't going to happen with AJ. So let me pivot real quick to someone else. Let me have my options like AJ was doing. AJ had options. Mel had options. Maybe that's because they are a little bit more player-like, but you're here to explore and explore your options. You didn't have to settle on just AJ. That's not on AJ. That's a little bit on you. You don't have to feel stupid or anything like that, but you have to be realistic with the fact that, and we see it many times on the show, in any iteration, I could be vibing with more than one person, and it doesn't mean I'm going to pick you. You know what I mean? So, anyways, AJ says, I do feel for you. Sounds very dismissive, but I just feel more for someone else in this moment. Sorry about it. It's just like so dismissive, I think. Um, but anyways, okay, sorry about that. I'll take a quick break. Okay, so yeah, he's David left off with that. So Marita says, I feel like he just told me what I wanted to hear in order to stay on the top. Which, yeah, she did. And I mean, I don't know what I would do, but I think we've said it already. AJ is a little bit of a fuck girl. So, yeah. Then we move on to Pilar. And as we know, she says, well, I'm in between Kyle and Bridget, which is real interesting. And Pilar ends up choosing Kyle. And Kyle chooses Pilar back. So that's who she picks. Bridget, since we know you were connecting with Pilar just picked Kyle, did you connect with anyone else? And Bridget says Ashley, which again, I feel like it was at the last minute. um, so with that, Bridget picks Ashley and Ashley picks Bridget. So there we go. Then we move on to Haley. Who do you choose? So she chooses Megan. Megan chooses Haley, so we're good to go. Dana chooses Mel, y'all. This is going to get really good. Brittany chooses Mel as well. And Mel ends up choosing Dana. Which means by default, Marita and Brittany are paired. And so that's basically that. So Just as a reminder, our new couples, we have Dana and Mel, AJ and Marie, Megan and uh shoot. Megan and uh Haley, Ashley and I want to say they're the actual people. It's Ashley and Bridget, Kyle and Pilar. Did I get everybody? AJ and Marie, Mel and Dana. There we go. I think I said everybody. So now that that's over, we're gonna go into the couples. So from now we're gonna be doing couple by couple until like we have something that's going on, bringing everyone together. But we'll go through that. Dana and Mel. So not a lot to say here initially. They just want to do this process organically, you know, kind of to see what happens, let it happen, if it were to, all that. One very pivotal question that I think Mel asked Dana was TV. No, I think, sorry, Dana, one of them asked, I think Mel asked Dana, TV on or off? If Mel wants it on, Dana's like, absolutely not. Like, are you a psycho? Mel's like, are you? Here's the thing. I personally hate the TV on. If I leave my TV on, it's by accident. I like the darkness. I like the this quiet. I need that. So I'm a person who doesn't like my TV left on. Um, but I know like a lot of people do. It's soothing, I guess. It's just not for me. So I guess I'm insane based on Mel's interpretation of that. Anyways, so that's basically it for them for the rest of the episode. There's not much else to really say at this point. AJ and Marie. So Marie says, like, I'm so sorry how people are coming at you because, like, I didn't see that side of you. So here's the thing. Just because you didn't see that side of AJ doesn't mean that someone else didn't. Doesn't mean your experience is any less authentic than someone else's. And the thing is, I think Marita honestly came at AJ because she was upset that she wasn't chosen. Um, Whereas Bridget's like, I'm seeing patterns here and handle herself a little differently. But it doesn't mean that that's not someone else's experience. And honestly, look at me the first time that I'm like, Marie, girl, honey, come on. Like, you're smarter than this. You have to be. So yeah, that's kind of my 2 cents on that. And we start talking about how we like our scrambled eggs. Do you like it runny? Do you like it, hard? That's the one description. Which I think it was Marie said, do you mean like overdone? And she's like, yeah, yeah, hard. Again, another conversation I'm gonna have. This might be polarizing. I was a person who actually also liked my eggs a little overdone. As I think it was Marie who said it, or maybe it was AJ, I don't remember. But one of them did say they kind of like to have like the brown on it, which kind of is like, then yeah, like overdone. Um, I used to like that as well. There's a little hint of brown, no, yum. I don't do that anymore. It is such a difference. I know my eggs aren't runny, but it's not overdone. It's fluffy. It's a little run to it, but like not like gross. Mm, I can't go back. So that's how I like my eggs. We say no outside clothes on the bed. Amen. I think Courtney would really love that. AJ apparently has lots of shoes and she actually doesn't even have all her shoes here. And I'm like, just like any typical Black person, whether that's male, female, presenting a little more masculine, always have a lot of damn shoes. I literally had to like tell my boyfriend, like, stop buying shoes. Why do you need so many goddamn shoes when you work 40 hours a week wearing steel toe shoes? Why do you need all these goddamn shoes that you're not even freaking wearing? Make it make sense. Anyways, Then we kind of start talking about cats and dogs have languages, which is true, I guess. But AJ's only verse in pussy language, and I said, fucking God. That's funny. I like that. Anyways, that's it for them for episode 3. Brittany and Marita. So Marita's happy that it didn't happen with AJ. It's really interesting that now it's happening with Brittany, who is AJ's now ex. We see, I think it's Marita struggling to open up the wine bottle. Poor thing. Anyways, they seem to really be trying to figure this out though, because like obviously, I guess for the both of them, Marita's with Ashley, Brittany's with AJ, they I guess tend to gravitate towards more masculine looking women, and this is not them. They're two more feminine women who are probably not going to have like the same experience in the sense of they're not going to necessarily be romantically involved. They're going to be a little probably more best friends. So, but they really do seem to be taking this seriously. Um, Brittany is like the next morning though, struggling um with everything because she's kind of second guessing, like, why am I here? Why am I doing this? I'm happy, like, why would I want? But clearly, you weren't that happy if you're here though. And to me, seeing how AJ kind of is when we haven't seen her before, she could so easily embrace her single life, makes me wonder what has happened and if she kind of knows of the possibility of things could have happened or whatever, lines could have been crossed or whatever the case may be. I think you know that deep down. But again, like that human nature kicks in where it's like, what am I doing? What am I doing? I'm self-sabotaging. It feels like I am. When really maybe you're not self-sabotaging. Maybe you are preserving yourself, you know? But Rita comes out and she says, like, do you need a hug? And Brittany's like, yes. Like, so she feels like she's just losing things that she loves. That's AJ. And, you know, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. That's it for them for this episode. Ashley and Bridget, again, not too much here. Ashley is like, I don't think that AJ robbed Marita's time. And here's why I say that. Because when she's on something, and that's something in this case was AJ, and it doesn't go the way that she wants it to, which is AJ picking her, you better watch the fuck out. And that's exactly what happened. And it's something we're going to see later. And it's, yeah, because she's a princess. She needs to have what she wants and who she wants. So when it doesn't happen the way she intended it in her mind, yeah, she had a breakdown. Anyways, that's basically it for them. It wasn't even about them. It was about Marita. Kyle and Pilar. Again, not a whole lot here. Kyle's really quiet. You can tell she's really, I don't know, in her own head or is maybe a little bit more shy, um, not as quick to open up. But she tells the story that in one time where she says she's a little bit of a klutz, she can kind of lose things, whatever. And there was a time where she dropped her keys down the garbage chute. And my mind is like, what do you do? What do you do when you drop your keys down the chute? Do you have to go dumpster diving for your keys? Or Lord have mercy. I couldn't do it. Um, the next day, or one I think the next day, we do find out like the night before there was some spooning. There was some spooning. That's it though. That's it for them for this episode. Then we have Megan and Haley in their last couple for this episode. Megan apparently sleep talks and Haley snores, so they're a perfect combination for each other. Although Haley does say that she uses mouth tape to kind of help with that. But this is the first time that we're kind of seeing this side of Megan that we weren't seeing before. We're seeing the side of her where she's second guessing things. She doesn't want to do this. She wants to run away. Um, And now it's like we see her really embracing this. And I'm really liking her personality. I really am. Or hopefully we get more of that. But that's it for episode 3. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll hop in with episode 4. And I'm back. So let's jump in with episode 4. So we start off with AJ and Marie. So um the confidence of Marie ordering food because they had a restaurant, ordering food for them both, actually turning me on. It was very commanding and I loved it. And AJ's like, that's hot. But AJ says that she wants to name her first child Jewel. And Marie's like, okay, great. How about we make that like a middle name? And then we can like have like a first name that starts with an A. So they can be AJ Jr. Me? No. Mm-mm, mm-mm. Nope. I'm a firm believer of no juniors. No. So Marie gave her AJ chai tea in the morning and she's like, I really love that feeling of like being doted on. It was important to her. This is gonna come back later. Um, but Marie says, my worst fear was the other person falling in love with me. Like, I didn't think that I could fall in love with the other person. So, like, that's becoming a reality. That was going to quickly change. We'll get to that. We're going to take a quick break on them. We'll come back to them because there's a reason why we need to come back to them. Kyle and Pilar. So, they took their first pick together. Sure, whatever. Pilar questions Kyle on like, how are you so sure like that your relationship, I guess, with Bridget is healthy? Like, how do you know that? Like, because I think for Kyle, her thing about marriage is that I know I'm gonna have a healthy relationship and this is what I want, blah, blah, blah. And Pilar is questioning that, like, how do you know? Well, I think that's not a hard question to answer, personally, because I know what it's like to be in an unhealthy relationship versus being in a healthy one. And it's like, I mean, again, Pilar's been with, one person, I think, for the most part, and that's Haley. So it's hard to kind of, tie that in. But I think even if you're in with one person, you can see the one side to the next side. You can kind of figure that out. To me, what she's more saying is for her, right? Still different because it's not about Kyle. For her, it's like, how can I say I'm in a healthy relationship when my family hates everything about me? So, how can this be healthy? But your family, your friends, whatever, doesn't determine what goes on in your relationship. You do. And I do think that she has a lot of soul searching to do personally. But I mean, I would question how healthy as well your relationship is when you're on a show called The Ultimatum. So there's also that part of it. Your relationship is clearly not that healthy because you're here for my entertainment. You know what I mean? Um, then we kind of use like to kind of, I guess, explain a healthy relationship of we're using cake. Like if you have good cake, how do you know that that cake is actually really good unless you try other cakes? Because those other cakes are even better, you know? What if the cake you've been eating all this time is actually not that good? Like, how would you know unless you go out there to try those other cakes? Although I understand the analogy, here's the thing. You can't constantly go out there trying new things. like when it comes to relationships, mind you. Because what if you go out there and you test those waters, you think you find someone else who fits those needs, but they don't. And the person you were with before actually did, checked off all those boxes, and now you've missed out on that. Sometimes something's got to give. You can't keep going out there and trying all these cakes. You know what I mean? Um, then Kyle turns the air down to a good, nice number of 69. And Kyle definitely made the reference of, oh, yeah, 69. Okay, Kyle. um, oh, no. Yeah, this is where we're at the other note here. We see both AJ, kind of a la maths, both AJ and Brittany leaving their respective apartments at around the same time and come back at roughly 1:19 in the morning. So we see that happen. And it's funny because I think when AJ comes back, the dog kind of lets it out the bag of, oh, who's in trouble? And it woke Murray up. So that's kind of what happened there. We'll come back to that though. Um, we'll come back to them when we kind of get to it. And we probably have a little bit more to talk about with Brittany and Marita as well. So I might do them first before we get to that. Um, so back to Kyle and Pilar. Kyle explains, it's tough opening up and flirting with someone that you've just met. Some people can do it and others can't, and I get that. And she says, it seems easy for Pilar. But like Pilar explains, like I do struggle as well. It actually gets to a point where Kyle, I don't know if she's trying to, but it definitely comes off as Kyle is shaming Pilar for being able to, I guess, I don't know, embrace the experience. And Pilar is like, I struggle too. Like it's not likely easy for me. And it's it's like, listen, don't if you yourself can't see yourself opening up in that way, that's perfectly fine and that is your prerogative. But if Pilar feels comfortable to do that, embrace this and able to open up with someone, that's also okay as well. That's her prerogative. You don't need to shame her though for that. They apparently went out dancing that same day after they had that conversation. They went dancing that night. And apparently this is coming from Kyle. Pilar tried to kiss her, but Kyle was kind of at first was like, oh, I wasn't really ready for that. So they kind of, pumped the brakes there. And then I guess Pilar made an attempt again. They ended up making out this time, but Kyle says like it was a mistake. And again, it's kind of putting it on Pilar. Like when they do talk about this, it's kind of putting it on Pilar as you're the one who did this because you're so open with everything. And you put me in a situation where I felt uncomfortable. Now, on the one hand, there was probably, drinking involved here. On the one hand, Pilar should have pumped the brakes, respected the boundary when Kyle gave it the first time. Because going in again, it feels a little pushy. On the other hand, though, Kyle ended up doing it and um he ended up doing it. And did you feel forced into doing it? Did you go with it or what? Because then if that's the case and you just kind of went with it, you can't blame Pilar for your decision to kiss her. You just can't. Sorry. And I didn't like that. I didn't like her shaming Pilar for that. It felt really gross. The next morning, Pilar is kind of feeling guilty about the whole that situation with the kissing. She's like, I'm clearly not taking this seriously, according to everything that you've said, which is really unfair. And I think you and Kyle's like, fuck, I didn't say that. But like, that's where Pilar is taking it. And she's like, I'm not trying to forget Haley. Like, that's the last thing she wants. She probably can never do that. Like, they've been together for 10 fucking years. You know what I mean? So Kyle's like, it's okay. But then she also says, like, I felt my boundaries weren't being respected, which I agree with. I just said that. But again, you also made decisions ultimately, unless, you felt forced into doing it, then that's a whole separate conversation. She's like, or Pilar says, I've been checking in and stuff like that. But in the moment, yeah, I don't disagree that maybe she's been checking in, but in the moment, you made an attempt. Kyle said no. And then you made the attempt again. That very true isn't respecting boundaries. But Kyle is like, I feel like you are pushing things or playing games. And playing games, it's what sets Pilar off. She's like, the fuck, I'm not playing games. I'm taking this really seriously. I'm serious about this. And I was just like, out of everyone there, Pilar is the least likely person to be playing games. That's like reserved for like AJ or Mel. Um, so to really push it and say Pilar is playing games, or it feels like that she is so mean. But there has been affection on both sides, which again is this most likely not a forced situation. So you have to own it. Pilar is like, can we be done? Can we be done? I want to be done with this conversation. She walks out the apartment and just takes a minute. So I think that's it for them for this episode. Dana and Mel. So Mel is cooking dinner and it actually looked really good. And Dana's like, I don't want your dirty fingers touching my food. And Mel's like, okay, so we're like, where do you want me to put them then? Oh my God. We're just in on it already. We're just going in on it already. Marie ended up running into Mel. This. So they're at the pool. Okay. They're at the fucking pool, which is clearly a shared space for this apartment complex. Marie, in that moment, ended up running into Mel and Dana at the pool. And she says, like, I know Mel saw me, but like there was no eye contact. Like she didn't even know who the fuck I was. We don't own a goddamn business together. And that is something. And then, and then Megan and Haley, we'll get to them a little more in a minute, run into them at the pool as well. And now, just like Mel, who pretends like she doesn't know who Marie is, Dana sees her, but says not a shit to her. Nothing to say hi, how are you doing, blah, 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 nothing. Like, you're in this trial marriage and we're just going to pretend like the people you came here with don't even exist. That's a new tactic, and I don't think it worked. Then we see Dana and Mel making out on the balcony. Pretty interesting. It was an interesting situation, but we see them, making out on the balcony. So you're like, oh boy, I don't know where this is going to go. They say maybe we were spending like so much time together, which, yeah, sure. Could there be some codependency going on here? Ma'am, ma'am, hi. Dana, when you are literally walking up to a person who you're not even in a trial marriage with yet, you only known each other for like a week, not even, and you're coming at her and basically being like, oh, you ignored me, you didn't say hi to me, what's going on with Brittany, blah, blah, blah. That's called codependency, or at least cuckoo magoo. Like, yeah. Mel is like, I don't think we spent enough time together. That's lovely. I can't. I need my space. I need my space. I need my space. If you're going to be up in my space 24 goddamn 7, we're going to have a problem. Then Mel is opening up to the idea of marriage and is like, okay, are you opening up to the idea of marriage because you want to get there with Marie, who is the person you came here with? Or are we opening up to the idea of marriage with Dana? I don't know. Um, so Megan and Haley. So Megan says, I think my family is unsure because I am. That's one way of putting it. Honestly, even if she is, a little more confident in who she is, which she'll get there. I hope her family can get there as well. And maybe it will be helpful if she's putting her foot down and being like, this is who I am. But I I don't know. I don't know. Um, she's like, because I know that they love me, but they are struggling. Which, yeah, struggling, and I'm not gonna fault someone having, but it's like there needs to be an end game here. There needs to be an end result here. You know, is that end result going to be I'm not going to be in her life anymore because I don't agree with her quote unquote lifestyle? I fucking hate that. Or like, are we going to embrace this to, because we love her? But I will keep initiating as long as they, are respectful and everything. So like she'll never stop trying to be in contact with them. Um, she's kind of says as long as my partner is being respected, like that kind of matters. She's like, things can't remain the same when they are not great. Agreed. Haley says, I think they will come around. I hope so. You can be optimistic. She like, that's how it is with my family. I made a decision. Um, they can take it or they can leave it because, she owes them nothing. So Brittany and Marita, we'll still go back up to the sneak out in a second. Not a lot here for Brittany and Marita, but they both got each other flowers, really sweet. They're gonna be doing like this cute little romantic dinner that Brittany is kind of stick handling, and it's everything Marita wants. It's again not that crazy. Let's go back up though to AJ and Marie. Um, and then we'll move on to the last couple. So the next morning after the sneak out with AJ and Brittany, AJ admits to seeing Brittany not once, but twice. 3 times related. It was only twice, girl. Don't worry. Um, but that's done, she says. It's over. It's not gonna happen again. It's fine. It's fine. It's not fine. Marie feels like a fool. She's like, I'm shutting down because like I don't trust her. Which again, and I think this really we saw this downward spiral for Marie, or we will be seeing that. And but yeah, Marie feels like a fool. It's like I'm shutting down because like yeah, that's it. Thing I don't trust her. I said that already. So yeah, I think that was kind of the downfall for what is to come. I think the next episode with Marie. Um, it's yeah, but that's basically it for that. The final couple is Ashley and Bridget. Not much here, but Ashley talks about how she was in a relationship with a girl in college. Just trigger warning. We're going to be talking about abuse. Um, so yeah, she's in a relationship with this girl in college, and apparently this girl didn't want Ashley to have any friends because that's all about isolation. Isolation is key for these types of people. And she said she was also physically abused by this person, and that's really sad. She said that like this person would be throwing bottles at her. Apparently, there was one time where she shoved her and the police. Sorry, shoved her to push her down, and the police arrested this girl because like I don't know if they were nearby or what, but said like keep it anywhere from there. So when the shove happened and the arrest happened, Ashley had to go to court. But I mean, I'm not. This is it's sad to hear this, and you want to scream. What are you thinking? But that's the problem. It's like they're so ingrained to believe this person. There's nothing she could say, And so basically after that happened with the girl being arrested and her basically lying to protect her, she stayed, but she did stay much longer after that. I wonder what happened. What happened for her to be like, the fuck am I doing? Like, I don't know if the maybe she just had a revelation. That's I would prefer that happened in term and not something harmful to her. But he said she stayed, but she did break up not long after that, which thank God for that. But yeah, I mean, I think we covered everything. That is it for episode 4, and that is it for this episode. So just as a reminder, the next episode that we'll be doing will be 90 Day Hunt for Love. We'll do a couple of episodes there, take a break from Ultimatum. Um, and then yeah, that's basically that. So that is it, guys. That is it for this episode. So if you like what you heard, please rate, review the podcast on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Also, don't forget that you can also share us with everyone in your life if you really love this. And I do want to read those reviews. I'm definitely getting 5-star ratings, but I want to read those reviews. So send me those reviews and I will read those 4 and 5-star reviews on the podcast. Also, we're on every one of your favorite podcast apps, every one of them, including you can find us on YouTube at Reality Tea Times 2. If you want to connect with us, you can do so by going to either Facebook or Instagram at Reality Tea Times 2. You can also find us on Twitter, TikTok, Reddit at Reality Tea Times 2 Pod. We also have our email, which is at realityteatimes2 at hotmail.com. Definitely want to hear from you guys. And we also have our new website where you can listen to all of these episodes. You can review the podcast on there as well. You can connect with me in any way, all the stuff. It's all there, and you can find me there at www.realityteatimes2, all spelled out, .podpage.io. It's there. And don't forget, I also have my other podcast with my friend Mikkel, Next Take Podcast, where we talk about all kinds of different topics. But you can find us on any of your favorite podcast apps over there as well. Or you can also go to YouTube and you go to Next Take Podcast, as well as our website, which is solo.to/Next Take Podcast. So yeah, there's that, and that's basically that. And again, don't forget, if all of this information is overwhelming, we do have all of the links, everything in our show notes. But that is it for now, guys. Thanks.